Friedel, we can't even say on the radio.
It's all on sale at our
He was desperate for a solution as CPAP wasn't working for him.
If we couldn't find a solution, I would be done. I'd have to find a new career. And at 50 years old, thinking, God, I got to start all over again.
That's when Jerry discovered Inspire, a sleep apnea solution and alternative to CPAP. How are things now?
There's just no feeling like it.
To learn how you can treat sleep apnea without a mask and review important safety information, visit InspireSleep.com. Patient testimonials are genuine and typical. However, results may vary.
For me, aches and pains were an everyday struggle. Work, exercise, raising 3 kids under 12. The pain was real, but so was my schedule. That's when I found Zeal, the most trusted name in massage. Their app lets me get professional, on-demand massages in the comfort of my home. With Zeal, I went from aches and pains to wellness without the wait time. Download the Zeal app and use promo code RADIO25 for $25 off your first massage. Zeal, wellness on the way.
Right now, save big and transform your home with Champion's Home Makeover Sale. Save 40% on Champion windows. Every Champion custom-made window is backed by their exclusive limited lifetime warranty. If it breaks, they fix it for as long as you own your home. And they're factory direct, so there's no middleman and no markup. Hi, this is Dave Logan, and Champion is the only window company that I personally endorse. And right now, you can save 40% on windows and 35% on sunrooms and siding when you participate in the Champion ES program. Plus, 12 months, no interest, no payments. But hurry, time is running out. Schedule your free in-home estimate today online at getchampion.com. 40% off new windows, 35% off new siding and new sunrooms. It's the Transform Your Home sale. Book your appointment online at getchampion.com. That's getchampion.com.
The Champion limited lifetime warranty applies to Comfort 365 windows as long as the original purchaser owns the home. Subject to qualifying credit approval, minimum purchase required. All discounts apply to our regular prices. Cannot be combined with other advertisers' offers. See store or website for details.
KOA News Radio time is 7:30. The Senate has approved a resolution blocking the national emergency President Trump declared in order to build a border wall. And at the White House, President Trump's response on Twitter.
The president announced with a simple one-word all-caps tweet, veto. Really not a shock. The president had already said that would be what he would do, but no mention of those 12 Republicans who really embarrassed him by voting against him here. But the president remains confident in his authority to go forward with this.
In a subsequent tweet, Trump says he looks forward to vetoing that resolution, which he said he was inspired by the Democrats. Roger Stone now will go on trial in early November. That's 7 months from now. And
approaching Colorado, watching some slight delays through there. Also, there's an object in the roadway westbound C-470 at Yosemite. It's in the right lane, so make sure you go left. We are seeing some slowing as well, westbound Pena Boulevard away from the airport, but not too much of a delay. I-25 is wide open. I-70 moving at posted speeds. Of course, the traffic lights are out of Hampton and Happy Canyon, so expect delays on Hampton. CBS 4 weather tonight, decreasing wind, mostly cloudy early, then clearing, low of 14. Tomorrow, mostly sunny, high of 40, currently 31 degrees. This report is sponsored by Maaco. You might not be able to get a new car with your tax refund, but you can make your car feel like it's brand new. All it needs is a great paint job. Come into Maaco today and get your dream paint job during their tax season sales event. I'm Darren Copeland with KOA News Radio, Colorado's news, traffic, and weather station.
Grainberry, healthy cereal.
Less sugar than other cereals, and the sugar it does have won't make us all crazy.
Ron Burgundy Podcast.
The Ron Burgundy Podcast. Already one of the most listened to podcasts in the world. There's a new episode available now. Listener download on the free iHeartRadio app.
I recently let you know that Sunflower Bank was projected to be the largest bank headquartered in Denver. Well, they've achieved that. This is important because it demonstrates their dedication to Colorado. Hi, it's April. Sunflower Bank is growing and they're investing in the Front Range. Their people live, work, play, and volunteer here. They get us because they are us, and they have the resources to offer the financial support you need to reach your goals. Check them out today to experience the Sunflower difference. Sunflowerbank.com, member FDIC.
Jerry Lee Lewis's fifth wife, dead. Sid Vicious and Kurt Cobain, also dead. Amy Winehouse, Johnny Cash, and more. Disgraceland is a rock and roll true crime podcast with stories about musicians getting away with murder and behaving very badly, and is available now. Hosted by me, Jake Brennan. You can listen to Disgraceland on the iHeartRadio app or wherever you get your podcasts.
Listen to all episodes of Disgraceland on the free iHeartRadio app.
Connect with Michael Brown. Find him on social media through KOANewsRadio.com.
Declaration of Independence. Think I could tell you that first sentence, but then I'm lost. I can't begin to count the theories.
We're talking about House Bill 1177, which is the red flag bill in Colorado. For those of you living outside the state, the debate going on in the Colorado legislature is this idea of having an extreme risk protection order so that anyone who thinks that anybody else is crazy can go down to a local sheriff's office or go down to the local courthouse and file an application to have the sheriff take away someone's guns ex parte, meaning that person doesn't have a chance to be heard, the guns get taken away, and then you get to go into court and prove that, well, no, I'm not crazy. It is, when you think about the Second Amendment that says the right to keep and bear arms, Heller versus D.C., Heller versus the District of Columbia. Go read that case. I don't care if you read it for the legal decision. I want you to read it for Justice Scalia's historical analysis of the Second Amendment. It's worth your time. Get on your Google, get on your DuckDuckGo, get on whatever, and look up Heller versus D.C. And don't go to one of the go directly to the opinion itself. Don't go to a summary and read the entire opinion. If it takes you an hour, that will be one of the best hours you have ever spent. It will help you understand the history of the Second Amendment. So now in Colorado, they want to do these extreme protection orders so that, again, the example I've been using as I do my analysis is Angie decides that I'm crazy one night, which happens to at least once an hour every night, and she goes to the, because we happen to be working in Denver, city and county of Denver, she goes to the Denver Sheriff's Office, files an application. I don't get any notice. She goes down, files the application, and the judge looks at it and says, okay, and tells the Denver sheriff to come and get my guns. Now, what's interesting is I don't live in Denver. I live in another county. So is the judge in Denver going to order the sheriff in another county? Or is he going to order the sheriff in Denver, who has no jurisdiction in the other county, who then has to pass on the order to another sheriff who's going to look at it and say, well, I'll get to it when I can? Because there is no obligation. No obligation. And when the sheriff shows up at my house, if Tony Spurlock, the sheriff of Douglas County, shows up at my house, knocks on my door, and says, I have an extreme risk protection order to confiscate your guns, I'm going to tell him I don't have any. I don't have any guns in my house. I don't know what you're talking about. Well, can we come in and look? No. Where's your search warrant? Well, we don't have a search warrant. All we have is this order from the judge. Well, then I would suggest you go back and you get a probable cause Fourth Amendment warrant that says, in particular, the things that you are searching for. And, of course, that gives me time to go stash them somewhere else. This is absurd. So anyway, back to 9 News. So 9 News is trying to do, some guy from Metropolitan States trying to do some sort of legal analysis of it, and I'm sorry, but it's just over the top lazy.
And if it should be long-term, that would be 364 days. So here, what the sanctuary cities are saying is that these sheriffs are saying, look, if somebody goes and petitions this and a judge orders them to relinquish their weapons, we're not going to go and enforce that. We're not going to go and take their guns, because the big argument is, it's a Second Amendment issue, it's infringing on our gun rights, but there's also this Fourth Amendment issue, which is saying you're taking our property without due process.
Bingo. I'll give the guy credit. He's actually swerved into a significant issue, and he's right. There is a gigantic Fourth Amendment problem. But do you think the Democrats in the Colorado legislature give a rat's ass about the Fourth Amendment? Do you think they give a rat's ass about the Constitution? Because I don't believe that they do. All they care about is the proverbial foot in the door. They want to be able to say to the rest of the country, oh, look what we did. Yeah, we're attacking the Second Amendment. We're attacking these wild-ass, crazy gun owners in Colorado. You know, my gun has never done anything illegal. None of my guns have ever done anything illegal.
So do sheriffs in a county, do they have the legal right to say, hey, we're not going to enforce a state law?
Well, that's exactly right. No, sheriffs cannot pick and choose what laws they want to enforce because...
Oh, seriously? Sheriffs can't pick and choose which laws they enforce. Tell that to the sheriff that on numerous occasions, I shouldn't say sheriff, probably a deputy sheriff, or to a state patrol officer that I have passed on I-25 doing 85 miles an hour, and he chooses not to stop me. He just made a conscious decision not to enforce that law. That happens all the time. And in a minute, may not be able to get to it this hour, but in a minute there's a case out of Colorado called Town of Castle Rock versus Gonzales. You guys have heard me talk about this case before. It's not exactly on point, but it's going to help you understand why my contention is that these kinds of decisions are made all the time. Stop and think about everything that a sheriff's office has to do. They have to issue or serve summons. They do dissolutions of marriage, subpoenas, restraining orders, foreclosure notices, eviction orders, protection orders, judgments. All of these kinds of civil documents that are served on behalf of individuals. They're served on behalf of private lawyers. They're served on behalf of courts. They're served on behalf of county and state departments and agencies. And they do it based upon their choice of the allocations of resources so that they look at everything they have to do that day. What's their number one priority? Well, okay, let's see. Well, there's a subpoena that we need to try to issue because the trial's tomorrow, so we ought to do that one today. Oh, we have another subpoena, but, well, the trial's not for 2 weeks. Well, we'll put that one off till tomorrow. They exercise discretion about the allocation of the resources and what they choose to do on any particular day based upon their priorities. Their priorities, not somebody else's. They're constitutionally elected, unlike some judges. Back to 9 News legal analysis.
If that were the case, then, it's like the military. You have to kind of follow the hierarchy. So
what? This has that analogy falls apart completely. Separate issue, whole separate rules, whole separate judicial system, everything.
What will happen is that if a sheriff says we're not going to enforce it, then we're going to have this legal battle. And
the sheriff doesn't have to say, here, sheriffs, listen, I got some advice for you. Quit saying that you're not going to enforce it. You can say that you're not going to enforce any laws that you believe to be unconstitutional, because that's pretty vague, that's pretty open-ended, that gives you a lot of discretion. Instead, say this: we will conduct the affairs of our office based upon the demands of our office on any particular day and the allocation of resources that the sheriff of that county determines to be the appropriate allocation of resources. Just like every prosecutor in this state allocates resources. Here's a shocker for the 9 News legal analysis people. Prosecutors sometimes get investigative reports where there may actually be someone broke a law. And they look at it and say, yeah, we probably believe that somebody broke the law, but we don't know that we can prove it beyond a reasonable doubt, so yeah, we're not going to deal with that. Or they may look at a case and say, yep, we think somebody there broke the law, and in fact, we believe that we could prove it beyond a reasonable doubt, but you know what? We don't have time for that crap. We're focused over here because we got 5,000 other cases that are more important. Those kinds of decisions are made every single day in this country, in every judicial district, in every prosecutor's office. They're made by U.S. attorneys, they're made by district attorneys, they're made by sheriffs, they're made by police officers, police chiefs, every single day. Every single day.
The question is going to be, is the red flag bill constitutional? And so the real question is going to be, hey, is this law constitutional? Because if it's deemed unconstitutional, then the sheriffs, they don't have to enforce.
Because courts will determine the constitutionality, not you, Mr. Attorney General. So don't, and the Attorney General of the state of Colorado, you could at least issue a press release that states correctly what officers swear to.
So right now, they're supposed to enforce it if the law passes, and if they don't, then we'll have a legal battle, and a court will ultimately make the decision.
Okay. That's right. The court will make a decision. The court will make a decision on what? On the constitutionality of the legislation itself. Sheriffs, do not get yourselves trapped into a case that decides the constitutionality of your ability to exercise the discretion in how you conduct your office. That's been decided. That was decided in the Castle Rock case back in 2005, 14 years ago. Don't box yourselves in.
And as you mentioned, that is going to have to probably go to a lengthy court battle. How do you feel a court would rule in a situation like that, or is it too tough to determine?
Well, it is going to be tough to determine because the constitutional law is complex. And here you're talking about a Fourth Amendment right saying, look, you're coming in without due process and taking my property. And others would say, well, no, a judge actually listened to the evidence and made the determination.
This guy is, I'm sorry, this guy is a doofus. The judge listened to the evidence from one side. He didn't listen because they try, legislature know that. And you know what I think? I think some of them may hope that happens. Oh, you can bitch about what I just said. But you cannot say that you're going to send a cop in to get somebody's guns without due process of law and not expect that somebody somewhere is going to end up saying no, and you end up in a gun battle. I pray to God it doesn't happen, but I think it can.
And so that's actually your due process. So it's going to be interesting. I mean, all of our amendments have exceptions. So, I mean, if I had to call it based on right now, I would think that the safety concerns outweigh the issues related to the constitutional due process issues. So I think the red flag bill would be upheld.
So would the end game kind of be for these counties that are saying they're sanctuary cities to be like, okay, so this law passed, but if we can get it to court, we can at least fight it on the Constitution, and that might delay it being implemented? Would that happen?
Well, not necessarily, and they can still challenge the law while actually following it. I mean, that happens all the time. That's how our law is developed. It's our common law system. So, you know, this law is passed, and then the courts say, yes, it is constitutional or not, but they don't have to actually not enforce it to challenge it. So either way, I think it's going to be challenged in a court.
Violation. I get to cross-examine the people making the accusations that I violated a contract. If somebody accuses me of a crime, I get to cross-examine those people. This bill eradicates that. The accuser and the witnesses supporting the accuser never need to testify in court or be subjected to cross-examination. They can just file an affidavit. Oh, here, a piece of paper. I can't cross-examine a piece of paper. I need a human. That's probably, at least in my book, that's as big a violation of the Fifth Amendment than anything I've ever seen by any legislature anywhere. Just saying that you're going to restrict a basic fundamental, the Second Amendment, not the Eighth Amendment, not the 10th Amendment, the Second Amendment to the United States Constitution. What do Democrats think? I thought, going back to Phil Weasel, the Attorney General, I am confident that it passes constitutional muster. I think it fails on constitutional muster right there. And I haven't even gotten to the other parts of it. You know, Dave Kopel over at the Independent, sheriff, whatever, as you come storming into my house, I hear the glass break, I draw my weapon. Somebody's going to get killed. Maybe more than one gets killed. This makes no-knock raids, as Dave writes, easier for gun seizures than for all other no-knock raids in the state. You're listening to Michael Brown on KOA News Radio, 850 AM, 94.1 FM, and always at the Michael Brown Show page at KOANewsRadio.com.
Before your head hits the pillow, hit up
room to try and get some sleep alone. CPAP is the first line of therapy for sleep apnea, but it just doesn't work for everyone. Now there's a silent, mass-free sleep solution keeping couples together in the same room. It's called Inspire. Inspire is a sleep solution that works inside your body with your natural breathing process. It delivers mild stimulation throughout the night to keep your airway open, giving you and your partner a quiet and restful night's sleep together. Inspire is the only FDA-approved sleep solution of its kind that's helping thousands of people like you finally experience their best sleep. A sleep solution for you is just a click away. Visit InspireSleep.com to learn more, review important safety information, and to find a doctor in Denver who can help you determine if Inspire...
Pat Bolin, the Boy Scouts Breakfast is presented by U.S. Bank and Arrow...
Like you and I went to the ballot box and voted overwhelmingly against Proposition 112 by hundreds of thousands of votes. We voted to protect funding for schools, protect jobs, and protect our way of life. But a handful of politicians didn't like that result and think they know better. So now they're trying to ignore our votes, our communities, and our voice, and pass a law in the middle of the night to shut down energy production across Colorado. But we won't be fooled. Call your legislator and tell them to stop SB 181. 303-866-2904. Stop SB 181. Paid for by the Colorado Petroleum Council, a division of API.
Time is running out to register for Hanson McLean's only Social Security workshops of 2019. They're happening this week in the Denver Tech Center, Broomfield, Lakewood, and Highlands Ranch. But seats are almost full. Sign up now at HansonMcLean.com.
Springtime is the time to buy a new Polaris. Right now, the world's best-selling off-road lineup is priced to move. Get more done with a hardworking Ranger. Chase adventure on a legendary Sportsman. Or live wide open in a high-performance RZR. Rebates go as high as $1,500 during the Polaris Spring Sales event. Offers valid in U.S. through 4/30/19, subject to credit approval. Rebates and financing vary by model and year. See dealer for details. Always wear a helmet, never drink and ride.
When people ask me my opinion on the best place to shoot, I always recommend Colorado Clays Shooting Park. Colorado Clays is the top choice for shooters of all abilities. It has trap, skeet, and a 15-station sporting clays course. Colorado Clays also has a world-class semi-enclosed open-air handgun and rifle range, handicapped accessible. If you're looking for a place to host corporate events or bachelor parties, Colorado Clays is perfect. Only 30 minutes from downtown Denver. No membership required. ColoradoClays.com.
KBCO HD3 Boulder. This is an iHeart radio station.
KOA News Radio, 850 AM and 94.1 FM. The 50,000-watt blowtorch of the Rocky Mountain West.
KOA News Radio time is 8 o'clock. I'm Roger Hudson. Our top story, Senator Cory Gardner begins to pay the price for voting with the president and his border wall in the Senate today. We have details for you, but first, traffic and weather together. Here's Darren Copeland.
Starting to get about a bit busy out here, I should say, working on an accident. It was first reported westbound C-470, but it's actually eastbound C-470 approaching Yosemite, backups to the Colorado overpass. Meanwhile, I-25 looks great from Centennial to Thornton. I-70 is excellent across the city. Are seeing some volume on Pena Boulevard outbound away from the airport, so be aware of that. Off-freeway accidents at Yosemite and Lehigh, and a serious accident at 4th and Santa Fe. I'm Darren Copeland on KOA News Radio, Colorado's news, traffic, and weather station.
Well, the storm is pulling away from Colorado, so the winds will gradually die down into the night tonight. Clouds early with clearing overnight. Tomorrow morning, we should have a low dip into right around 14 degrees. And then for Friday, lots of sunshine, near 40 for the high. Over the weekend, 45 Saturday, 48 on Sunday, with mostly sunny skies. From CBS 4, I'm meteorologist Dave Aguilera on KOA News Radio 850 AM and 94.1 FM.
Mostly cloudy and 28 degrees in the Denver Tech Center. In a vote of 59-41, the Senate passed a resolution to terminate President Trump's emergency declaration and the U.S.-Mexico border today. 12 Republicans voted in favor of the resolution to disapprove the declaration. Senator Cory Gardner, siding with the president, voted against the resolution of disapproval for the national emergency declaration. In a statement from Gardner following the vote, the junior senator said, "There's a crisis at the border, and the president did what Nancy Pelosi and Chuck Schumer refused to do." Now, in an unusual move tonight, the Denver Post editorial board published an editorial apologizing for endorsing Gardner back in 2014 for Senate. The Post says, "We knew he'd be a conservative voice in Congress, to be certain, but we also thought his voice would bring fresh leadership, energy, and ideas. We see now that this was a mistake. Consider this our resolution of disapproval." No response yet from Senator Gardner's office. During the St. Patrick's Day celebration at the White House today with Ireland's Prime Minister, President Trump said that he has fond memories of St. Patrick's Day when he was in New York as a child.
In my hometown of New York City, St. Patrick's Day, for years and years I've gone to St. Patrick's Day. My father and mother would take me. Is one of the most important holidays of the year and the greatest parade of the year.
How big is this parade? Well, this year marks 258 years in New York City for the St. Patrick's Day Parade. Approximately 150,000 people will march or stumble through the parade. It draws about 2 million people to see it every single year. The massive Wednesday blizzard was one for the record books, believe it or not.
We had a record at DIA yesterday in terms of liquid precip. Some of that was rain, some was snow, 7.1 inches, the most snow in 3 years at the airport in a calendar day.
The CBS 4 and KOA News Radio meteorologist Chris Spears there. He says we're above normal for the month with 12 inches of snow, but below normal for the season of a half a foot. Believe that or not. Things are pretty much back to normal in the metro area, but CDOT's Kyle Lester says there's still some work to be done on our roadways.
Search and recovery missions out there. We're punching holes through all those secondary routes. Getting first responders in, searching vehicles, pulling vehicles, getting them to safety.
Again, how bad was it? Lester says that at one point last night, 300 cars were stranded along I-25 southbound to Denver during that storm. Our next update will be at 8:30. I'm Roger Hudson at KOA News Radio, 850 AM and 94.1 FM.
Hey, it's Susie Wargin with some big news from my friends at Renters Warehouse. They've acquired one of America's leading online real estate investment marketplaces and have now become the nation's leading real estate investment services company. What does this mean for you? It means Renters Warehouse is now your one-stop shop to research, buy, lease, manage, and sell single-family rental properties. Seriously, it's like you have stocks and bonds, except they're rental homes. Whether you're looking for 20 properties or just one, Renters Warehouse gives you the tools you need. Find great properties and great tenants, collect the rent, manage the maintenance, view stock-like analytics, and track your portfolio. With Renters Warehouse, you can easily do it all from the comfort of your own home. Heck, you can even do it from your phone. And your properties don't have to be local. They can be anywhere in the country. When it comes to unlocking the investment power of rental homes, Renters Warehouse is leveling the playing field. They have the network, knowledge, and technology to make you a rent estate mogul virtually overnight. It all starts by visiting renterswarehouse.com today. Renters Warehouse. List, rent, manage, all under one roof.
Tonight, Michael Brown joins me here.
This is the former FEMA director.
Talk show host Michael Brown.
Brownie now.
Brownie, you're doing a heck of a job.
It's a heck of a show with Michael Brown.
You're on the radio.
On KOA News Radio.
We're talking about the extreme risk protection order bill going through the Colorado legislature, House Bill 1177, which is a gigantic overreach by Democrats who think that this is the kind of common sense gun safety legislation, bovine feces, that somehow their progressive base wants people to do. And I find it one of the most despicable pieces of legislation that Democrats have ever introduced. And the fact that we have sheriffs in the state of Colorado, I might add that in New Mexico, that 30 of 33 county sheriffs, I may be off by one or two, but 30 of 33 county sheriffs in New Mexico, where a similar piece of legislation is making its way through the New Mexico legislature, have declared their counties to be sanctuary counties. There's a move afoot. But I want to go back to the constitutionality issues and the flaws in this bill. And I want to give full credit to Dave Kopel over at the Independence Institute, because he has outlined what the basic flaws are. Before we do, though, I want to address the issue about Town of Castle Rock versus Gonzales. Not knowing exactly what Senate or House Bill 1177 will eventually say, but I have spent an inordinate amount of time trying to explain how sheriffs, constitutionally elected officers in the state of Colorado, have the authority to conduct the affairs of their offices as they see fit. Now, their constraint is they have to go to the county commissioners for their budget. But once the county commissioners approve a budget, if the county commissioners approve a budget of $1 million for a particular county sheriff's office, and they break that $1 million down into, jail costs and personnel costs and transportation costs and, computer equipment, capital costs, all of that sort of thing. Beyond that, the conduct of their offices is left to the discretion of those sheriffs who are elected by the people of that county. They're not elected or appointed by the county commissioners, except maybe in the case of a vacancy to fill out a term or something. But they're elected by the people of that county. And the people of that county elect them to uphold the Constitution, not as the Attorney General of Colorado, Phil Weasel, says, all law enforcement officers swear an oath to uphold the rule of law. You ought to go check. There is a 14-year-old case, Town of Castle Rock versus Gonzales. Let me just breeze through it real quickly and explain to you why I think it has some merit in the discussion of House Bill 1177. Because everybody's claiming, at least all the lay people are claiming, that sheriffs have no authority to do what I just described, which is to conduct the affairs of their office as they see fit. Again, I want to point out what sheriffs do when it comes to civil process. They serve summons, they serve subpoenas, restraining orders, foreclosure notices, eviction notices, protection orders, judgments. They do all of those things. And all of those things that they do are served, because remember, this is a civil matter, this is not a criminal matter. The taking away of your guns is a civil matter. These documents that I just outlined are served on behalf of individuals, lawyers, courts, county departments, agencies, and the documents are served as they see fit. Now, some may take priority, because if they know that there is, the example I gave earlier, a subpoena, and they look down and they say, oh, the court's issued a subpoena for Michael Brown to appear. Oh, dang it. He's supposed to appear day after tomorrow. Well, let's say tomorrow, Friday. We better get that served right now. Knock on the door. No, we got a subpoena here for Michael Brown. Oh, he doesn't have to appear in court for another 2 weeks. Yeah, we can put that off till tomorrow, the day after. That's realistically how these guys work. How else would you expect them to work? Those of you that don't live in Colorado, we had this blizzard yesterday. I mean, everybody was just shocked. Like, oh my God, we had a blizzard. Well, it's what happens. We live in Colorado. We have a blizzard. And the interstates were shut down for a while. So every available law enforcement officer was busy trying to help people in trapped cars on I-25 and I-70. Do you think they're going to give a rat's ass about trying to serve a subpoena? Do you think they're going to give a rat's ass about trying to serve a summons or a protective order? No. And with regard to the legal analysts on 9 News that said, well, you know, they could be sued if they don't do X, Y, or Z. Well, they can get sued for all sorts of stuff. What they didn't point out is, well, as I said, anybody can sue anybody for anything at any time. All you have to do is go down, fill out the form, and pay the filing fee, and then make sure that I get notice of the lawsuit. Issue a summons to me so that I can answer and respond to it. Beyond that, you have the issue of sovereign immunity. If they're acting within color of law, they're acting within the duties and the boundaries of their office, you're going to have a hard time suing them. And the Castle Rock case is a prime example of that. Supreme Court decided the case on June 27, 2005. It's what's called a civil rights case, a 42 U.S.C. Section 1983 case. The respondent filed this lawsuit alleging that the petitioner violated, the petitioner in this case is the town of Castle Rock, alleging that the petitioner of the town of Castle Rock violated the 14th Amendment's due process clause when its police officers, acting pursuant to official policy or custom, failed to respond to her repeated reports over several hours that her estranged husband had taken their 3 children in violation of her restraining order against him. So this woman had a restraining order against her estranged husband. He came and grabbed the kids in violation of the restraining order. Ultimately, that dirtbag killed the children. The district court granted the town's motion to dismiss, but the 10th Circuit reversed, finding that there was a cognizable procedural due process claim because a Colorado statute, listen closely, established the legislature's clear intent to require cops to enforce restraining orders, and thus its intent that the order's recipient have an entitlement to the enforcement. The court, the 10th Circuit, ruled, among other things, that the mother had a protected property interest in the enforcement of that restraining order. The court said, nope. The Supreme Court said, nope, that's not true. The woman did not, for due process clause purposes, have a property interest in police enforcement of the restraining order against her husband. Let me repeat that. The Supreme Court said that there was no due process violation because the woman, the mother whose children were murdered, does not have a due process, 4th or 5th Amendment interest in police enforcement of a restraining order. I think this is applicable to the red flag bill. It may be a stretch, but it's an argument that if I were in front of the Supreme Court, I would make the argument. May it please the court. This court has already ruled that there is not a due process property interest in having cops enforce restraining orders. Therefore, I would argue that there is not a constitutional or due process requirement that says if a judge tells a sheriff to go get guns, that there is some sort of due process violation or any other violation if the sheriff decides not to do that. And they even recognized that the Colorado legislature had passed a statute that said it was the intent of the Colorado legislature that sheriffs, that police departments exercise that kind of lack of discretion, and that you must always protect people. Without going into the entire case, suffice it to say, the court said, in essence, and you've heard me say this a bazillion times on this program, the cops have no constitutional duty to protect you and me, which is the only reasonable conclusion to come to. If I'm getting robbed in my house and they kill me and my family, do my heirs have the ability to sue the cops because they didn't respond in time? No. There's no constitutional duty for them to respond. Now, they may have a political duty to respond, because if they fail to do that, there's a likelihood that chief's going to have hell to pay, and there's likelihood that the sheriff's going to have hell to pay at the next election. But there is not a constitutional duty for them to do that, and it's logical because cops can't be everywhere. Cops can't protect everybody. The only way to do that, there's 325 million people in this country. That means we need 325 million cops. One at each of our sides. One like a personal bodyguard to protect us at all time from all harm. You know that's absurd. I know that's absurd. I don't think the Colorado Democrats understand that that is absurd. Back to Dave Kopel. I want to get to, because he does a wonderful, wonderful job. Let's go back to the no-knock raids, because I think I want to make sure you hear this again. Dave writes that Colorado law generally disfavors no-knock raids and requires that, except in fast-breaking emergencies, such raids should occur only with the approval of a district attorney and specific authorization from a court. But this legislation does not specifically require that no-knock raids follow this procedure. By making no-knocks easier for gun seizures than for all other kind of no-knock raids, the bill unlawfully discriminates. The Supreme Court has rejected the notion that an entire class of cases can automatically be no-knock at unfettered law enforcement discretion. This is why I say it's going to get cops killed. Because some cop, some sheriff somewhere, is going to be he's going to be high on his horses. And it's going to be, yep, by golly, I'll show those other sheriffs. And I've got somebody that has filed an affidavit that says Michael Brown's crazy, so I'm going to go barreling into his house. You come barreling into my house. I don't care if you're you can be yelling, cops, 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 all you want. Thugs know how to do that too. So am I supposed to wait till you show me your badge? I'm probably not, because I'm going to have an automatic reflex. Someone is barreling into my house. It's 2 o'clock in the morning. I don't know what's going on. Tamara's asleep next to me. Or God forbid one of the grandkids are in the house. I'm firing. Dave goes on to write, stigmatizing gun owners. The legislation lists several specific risk factors for courts to consider when determining confiscation orders. The bill directs the state court administrator to create standard forms for gun confiscation petitions, which presumably will be based on items in the bill. The listed risk factors are a litany of red flags. Recent acts or threats of violence, violation of a civil protection order, just like in the Castle Rock case, a previously issued gun confiscation order, conviction of a domestic violence crime, reckless or unlawful use of firearms, or a credible or a credible threat thereof. Except remember, it's just an affidavit. It's just somebody saying, "Yep, I really believe that he's going to use a gun." It's a credible threat. Wait a minute. Where's preponderance of evidence? That's a one-sided conclusion. This is nothing more than, speaking of which, hang on. There is, where have I got? It's right, where do I have it? Somewhere here. You want to talk about how this can be abused? Former Senator Alphonse D'Amato and his wife, Keturah D'Amato, have been going through a heated divorce proceeding, and now she's suing him in federal court. The suit contains serious allegations. In a complaint filed last week, Mrs. D'Amato alleges that her estranged husband once had her hospitalized, falsely telling police, lying to a judge, that she had a history of psychiatric issues. Soon after, she claims, he was granted custody of their children, and she was coerced into accepting an agreement to only have supervised visitation. A former United States senator lied, had his estranged wife hospitalized, lied to the cops, lied to the judge. Oh, but Michael, in the House Bill 1177, nobody's ever going to go to the court and lie about you. They're never going to go to the court and lie about somebody's a threat to themselves. That's never going to happen. Oh, that's right, because only United States senators lie. Only former U.S. senators. Oh, only former Republican U.S. senators lie. If he can falsely claim that she was backcrap crazy, had her committed, said to the judge that she had a history of psychiatric issues when in fact she did not, how easy will it be for anybody that's vindictive to go get an extreme risk protection order? Have you dumbass Democrats in the legislature ever thought about that? Mrs. D'Amato claims that these were false statements led her to being kept in South Nassau Community's Hospital in Long Island against her will from September 30th until October 2. The next day, the lawsuit says, she brought a divorce action. And then the senator applied for protective orders that a judge signed awarding him temporary custody of their children by lying to the judge. Yeah, nobody will ever lie to a judge. Nobody will ever make up anything about anybody else. Cops are going to get killed, gun owners are going to get stigmatized, and these aren't going to do a thing to protect anybody. Except it will accomplish one thing. It'll be one more attempt by progressive Democrats to limit gun rights in this country. I bet the people in Venezuela who are desperate for food and water wish they had guns. Because you know what? I think if they had guns, they probably wouldn't have to fire a shot. If the citizens had guns, the same military that's trying to eat out of garbage cans that the civilians are, the same military that's drinking the crap water that the civilians are, because they know the civilians have guns, would have already turned on Maduro. That's why we have the Second Amendment. And any attempt to limit that should be vigorously fought, because it may not happen in my lifetime or your lifetime. It may not happen for generations, but every republic fails. Do you want to be the person in Venezuela that is without a gun, that never has the chance to convince the military to help you overthrow a failed state government? Yeah, I'm fired up. I'm totally fired up because this country, let alone this state's going to hell in a handbasket. You're listening to Michael Brown on KOA News Radio, 850 AM, 94.1 FM, and always on the Michael Brown Show page at KOANewsRadio.com.
Broncos legend and 2019 Hall of Fame inductee Champ Bailey will be the keynote speaker at this year's 43rd annual Boy Scout Sports Breakfast, April 9th at the Pepsi Center. For sponsorship details or more info, visit KOANewsRadio.com/calendar.
I'm not saying my jacuzzi hot tub from Spa Palace is the best thing that's ever happened to me, but it is so close. Isn't it time you had a place to relax and unwind while soaking away your aches and pains? Go see my friends at Spa Palace. Choose from jacuzzi hot tubs, Sundance spas, or Hydro Pool swim spas, and then relax away, my friend. Visit spapalace.com, find one of the 6 Front Range locations from Pueblo to Fort Collins, and make your backyard the oasis you've always wanted. So don't wait. Visit spapalace.com today.
Ladies, have you been noticing symptoms like you can't lose weight, you have night sweats or hot flashes, you can't sleep, you have a low sex drive? You don't have to live this way. It's a new year, so make it a new you. I'm Susan Whitkin. Hormone Health and Weight Loss has a natural hormone therapy that can help with your symptoms. I know because it works for me. Get your life back. Call today at 720-443-4080 to schedule your free consultation, or go online at hormonehealthtest.com. That's 720-443-4080. Feel better, live better. Call today.
What would it take for you to get a tattoo you didn't want? $1 million? How about 1 million socks? I'm Randy from Bombas. When me and my business partner Dave,
how's it going?
Quit our jobs to start a sock company,
Bombas,
we wanted to make the best socks in the history of feet. No more annoying seam, no more falling down your leg, added arch support.
You get the idea.
And what's better than creating the best socks in the history of feet?
Sharing them.
This is what we do. 1 pair purchased equals 1 pair donated to those in need. Our dream was always to donate 1 million pairs. We thought it would take 10 years. That's why Dave said,
when we donate 1 million pairs of socks, I'll get a tattoo to celebrate.
But then something happened. People loved our socks, and instead of 10 years, it only took 2.5. 1 million pairs.
And 1 Bombas tattoo on my arm.
Feel the most comfortable socks in the history of feet by going to bombas.com/KOA and get 20% off your first order. That's BOMBAS.com/KOA.
Proposition 112.
Yeah, let's take a look at that number. No, 58% to a yes, 42%. This was a big one. And the voters said absolutely not.
It has been soundly defeated tonight.
A bigger margin than I think we expected.
Tonight, it failed.
Sound familiar? Last fall, Coloradans like you and I went to the ballot box and voted overwhelmingly against Proposition 112 by hundreds of thousands of votes. We voted to protect funding for schools, protect jobs, and protect our way of life. But a handful of politicians didn't like that result and think they know better. So now they're trying to ignore our votes, our communities, and our voice, and pass a law in the middle of the night to shut down energy production across Colorado. But we won't be fooled. Call your legislator and tell them to stop SB 181. 303-866-2904. Stop SB 181. Paid for by the Colorado Petroleum Council, a division of API.
Hey, it's Susie Wargin with some big news from my friends at Renters Warehouse. They've acquired one of America's leading online real estate investment marketplaces and have now become the nation's leading real estate investment services company. What does this mean for you? It means Renters Warehouse is now your one-stop shop to research, buy, lease, manage, and sell single-family rental properties. Seriously, it's like you have stocks and bonds, except they're rental homes. Whether you're looking for 20 properties or just one, Renters Warehouse gives you the tools you need. Find great properties and great tenants, collect the rent, manage the maintenance, view stock-like analytics, and track your portfolio. With Renters Warehouse, you can easily do it all from the comfort of your own home. Heck, you can even do it from your phone. And your properties don't have to be local. They can be anywhere in the country. When it comes to unlocking the investment power of rental homes, Renters Warehouse is leveling the playing field. They have the network, knowledge, and technology to make you a rent estate mogul virtually overnight. It all starts by visiting renterswarehouse.com today. Renters Warehouse. List, rent, manage, all under one roof.
KOA News Radio time is 8:30. Flags remaining at half-staff across Colorado following Wednesday's death of a state trooper, Corporal Daniel Groves. Wednesday, lawmakers in both the state house, that was today, Thursday, lawmakers in both of the state houses and state observing the moment of silence to honor Groves and his sacrifice to the public safety of all Coloradans.
Colorado State Patrol is a better agency because of his service, and the state of Colorado a better place.
Investigators continue to ask for the public's help to piece together what happened leading up to the crash that took the corporal's life on I-76 near milepost 47 at 11:20 a.m. on Wednesday. A California woman is launching a $500 billion lawsuit in connection to the nationwide school bribery scandal. Jennifer K. Toy filed a class action complaint in San Francisco Superior Court against actress Lori Loughlin and Felissa Huffman and 40 other defendants. The former Oakland teacher claims that her son and other children did not get a fair chance to gain admission to colleges and universities caught up in the cheating scandal. The defendants are accused of conspiracy, bribery, and use of charitable organizations to hide illegal payments. A defiant President Trump is promising to veto and hinting at violence against his political opponents after a rare rebuke by a Republican-led Senate today. 12 Republican senators joined the Democrats on a vote to deny Trump emergency powers to build his border wall. The president told Brett Bart that he has tough people to support him and that they would, if they decide to play tough, that they would be very, very bad for those that oppose him. Our next news update at 9 o'clock. I'm Roger Hudson on KOA News Radio, 850 AM and 94.1 FM.
A lot of tough problems going on C470, a new accident eastbound C470. It's at Santa Fe and has C470 shut down at that location. Expect major delays. They're trying to get it back open. It seems like they may get the left lane open for people, but it's going to be still a tough slog. Cleared that accident eastbound 470 approaching Yosemite. Speed should be improving there. I-70 is excellent across the city and no problems to report on I-25. CBS 4 weather. Tonight, decreasing wind, mostly cloudy, then clearing, low of 14. Tomorrow, mostly sunny, high of 40, currently 30 degrees. I'm Darren Copeland with KOA News Radio, Colorado's news, traffic, and weather station.
You know, I've bought more guns at one place than any other place in my life, and that's up in Boulder at 14th and Arapahoe. This multi-generational location and family-run business is where I have bought most of my firearms, and I think it's where you ought to buy yours too. You see, Gunsport is our kind of store. Gunsport, you're going to find quality firearms and knives. Gunsport's got a large selection of ammo, scopes, holsters, books, and at Gunsport, they buy, sell, trade, and they take consignment. Gunsport is a family-owned store where they treat you like family, a family-run business where they focus on atmosphere and you. Everybody from the old hard gun vets to the person who's never shot before, Ross the owner and Jason the son are going to treat us all the same. They've got rare ammo, collector's guns, you name it, Gunsport's got it or they can get it. I want you to drive up to Boulder and see for yourself why I've spent more money at Gunsport than any other single place. 14th and Arapahoe in Boulder. You can't miss that grand old building, and you can't miss why I love this place when you go inside. 14th and Arapahoe or online, gunsport.us.
Pat Woodard here, and I'm joined by Hanson McLean's Scott Hanson. Scott, you've been helping people retire well for a long time. What's the one thing you really want pre-retirees to know about Social Security?
Well, that figuring out when to claim can be really overwhelming. I mean, there's so many options these days, and getting the timing right is crucial.
And I'm sure you've seen some people make big mistakes that they end up regretting.
Well, yeah, often it's claiming too early or taking the wrong type of benefit. I mean, not understanding their potential tax hit, and those are just a few of them. I mean, basically, one wrong move can mean missing out on thousands of dollars of retirement income.
And this is why Hanson McLean has workshops happening right now, right?
Exactly. We're hosting free Social Security workshops this week in the Denver Tech Center, Broomfield, Lakewood, and Highlands Ranch. These educational events are designed to help you find your Social Security sweet spot. But time is running out to register, and seats are filling up fast. So if you've been saving for retirement but still have some Social Security questions, reserve your spot now at HansonMcLean.com.
Don't miss out, Denver. Register now at HansonMcLean.com.
Happy St. Patty's Day!
iHeartRadio gets you in that St. Patrick's Day mood with our own original station, Shamrock Radio. Everything from traditional Irish jigs to party songs known round the world. So get your green on and let iHeartRadio be your St. Patty's Day soundtrack, commercial free. We'll give you a St. Patrick's Day you'll never forget, even if you don't remember it. Shamrock Radio. Listen now on the iHeartRadio app. Your music, your stations, all free.
iHeartRadio!
Back to Michael Brown on KOA News Radio and streaming live at KOANewsRadio.com.
I'm excited. You know what I'm excited about? The 2020 election. The more people that get in the race on the Democrat side is an indication of how strongly they believe that Donald Trump can be beat in November of 2020. And I'm not convinced of that. Look, there's a long ways to go, but, starting this summer, we're right in the middle of the presidential election. We're just a few months away from really getting into the presidential election. Seems like just yesterday we just finished one. But some people have said that they're not going to run. Robert Francis O'Rourke has said numerous times that he's not running for president. Robert Francis O'Rourke is I don't know how many terms, just a couple of terms and maybe 4 or 5 terms in Congress. He's from El Paso. He ran against Ted Cruz and famously lost. And they are, HBO's doing a documentary about losing.
Do you foresee yourself one day running for the President of the United States?
Thank you for being here. Thanks for the question. Dana, since this is the last segment, asked me to be brief, and so I will. The answer is no. But I appreciate it. My wife was the only one to clap during that. Our children are 11, they're 10, and they're 7 years old. We've told them we're going to take these almost 2 years out of our life to run this race, and then we're devoted and committed to being a family again. So that's what we're focused on. But thank you for asking the question. It's super.
That I'm not looking at 2020, and in fact, I'm completely ruling that out. Not going to do that.
No matter what, win or lose, you're not going to run in 2020.
Win or lose, I'm not running in 2020. I got to tell you, it's incredibly flattering that anyone would ask me the question, or that's even up for discussion. But since people have asked, the answer is no.
Congressman, can you say definitively that no matter what happens tomorrow, you will not be a candidate for president in 2020?
I will not be a candidate for president in 2020. Thanks. That's, I think, as definitive as those sentences get.
Is that a definitive no?
It's a definitive no.
Like never?
I mean, let me put it this way. I promise to you, and most importantly to the people of Texas, that I'll serve every single day of a 6-year term in the United States Senate, and I won't leave this state to go run for president.
And if you don't win?
If I don't win, we're back in El Paso.
Oh. Then I wonder what Chris Matthews. Remember one time Chris Matthews had a tingle up his leg? Sometimes I get a tingle going down my leg, but I don't often have a tingle going up my leg. Well, Chris Matthews,
Plus, Beto O'Rourke makes his move tomorrow. It looks like it's going to happen. The former congressman appears to be jumping into the presidential race. Can he turn his Texas Beto mania into a national movement? Where do you see the cover of Vanity Fair coming up? What a kiss. All signs are now pointing towards former Texas Congressman Beto O'Rourke to enter the 2020 presidential race tomorrow. That's Thursday this week. Tomorrow, a reporter for the Texas Tribune tweeted, Beto's team is emailing volunteers from his Senate campaign. We need help sending some text messages tomorrow morning. O'Rourke is headed to Iowa tomorrow for a multi-day trip in the first caucus state. And tonight, Vanity Fair posted a new profile of O'Rourke. He told the magazine, quote, "You can probably tell that I want to run. Do I think I'll be good? I think I'll be good at it." By the way, bring back that cover a bit. That cover is the best kiss I've seen for a candidate in a long time. I always say the candidate wins who's got the sun in his face, who looks like sunny, optimistic, not the indoor bureaucrat sitting at some desk somewhere. That's the image you want.
I think there's a little love. I think Chris Matthews and Robert Francis O'Rourke are on the love boat. And it's not just MSNBC. Oh, no. ABC's got the hots for him, too.
Beto O'Rourke is now the 15th Democrat to put his name in the hat. He's expected to hold his first official campaign event here in Iowa a little bit later today, and he promises to run a very positive campaign.
Amy and I are happy to share with you that I'm running to serve you as the next president of the United States of America.
Oh, never mind. I could have sworn that I spent almost 2 minutes of valuable KOA News Radio airtime telling you that Robert Francis O'Rourke was not running for president. In the words of Emily Latella, never mind.
This morning, Beto O'Rourke is joining the 2020 fray.
The only way for us to live up to the promise of America is to give it our all.
The former Texas congressman skyrocketing onto the national political scene when his Senate race caught fire in 2018.
Well, it caught fire, but in politics, second place doesn't even get you a trophy. No.
Thank you, El Paso. Thank you, Texas.
Despite his loss to Ted Cruz, the rock and roll loving 46-year-old caught the nation's attention.
The nation's? Do you think if you just did a man on the street survey, who's Robert Francis O'Rourke? Oh, isn't she the woman that played in Fargo? Isn't that who you're talking about?
His offbeat social media posts appealing to a younger generation.
And what they showed right there was he's getting his teeth cleaned. And he posts a video of his teeth cleaning to Instagram. Hey, Angie, next time I get my teeth cleaned, would you go with me to the dentist and videotape it so I can post my dental cleaning to Instagram?
Even taking us skateboarding at Whataburger, his Senate candidacy winning the endorsement of celebrities like Beyonce. And now he's appearing on the cover of Vanity Fair.
Well, I'm in. I mean, if you're on the cover of Vanity Fair, if you are endorsed by Beyonce, count me in.
Star politician weighing his options, saying, "You can probably tell that I want to run." But until now, his indecision on a White House bid even left many, including Oprah, asking the question.
By God, when are you going to know the answer?
When I caught up with him at a Dallas rally in October, he told me he would never run.
Is there a scenario where you run for president in 2020 or beyond? No. Unequivocally, you will never run for president.
No, punto. No, period.
I guess things have changed. Conservatives have called him a shiny new penny, and they are already coming for him, saying that he drips with white male privilege and wealth. And some Democrats, George, are wondering whether or not he's the street fighter that they want or need. But there will be two big parts of his platform. Those will be health care for all and climate change.
Oh, well, good. So he's no different than the rest of them, except I wonder what Robert Francis O'Rourke's intersectionality score is. We should go test his score. So he did go to Iowa, and he said a couple of things that, well, kind of left me a little perplexed. Maybe I'm just not hipster enough.
In Texas, we have a problem with broadband in rural communities. You may have that where farmers and ranchers and producers literally cannot get online.
Maybe I'm wrong. If there's a farmer or a rancher out there, anywhere within the sound of my voice, come on, we're heard in 38 states. If there is a farmer or rancher out there that can't get online, would you email me, Michael Brown at KOA News Radio? Because I find that hard to believe. Are there some areas that are probably underserved? Yeah. But have you ever heard of satellite internet? You can get it anywhere.
Where people cannot start businesses in their hometown or finish their education after high school because they can't get online. They can't go to Tinder.
Well, now that's it. Trump, you're done. Yep. And all the other 82 Democrat candidates, you're done. Because here's a guy that's going to make sure that every rural American can get on Tinder. You know what? You know why I'm for that? Because that means that more rural Americans. Now, this is assuming a heterosexual relationship. that more rural Americans, more farm boys and farm girls start hooking up on Tinder instead of having to go out to the barn, and we'll have more kids. And so the demographics of the country, well, we won't need as many illegal immigrants to do the jobs that Americans won't do, because now we got farm boys and farm girls getting on Tinder and doing the dirty and having kids left and right.
And find a date tonight to find that special person who's going to make the difference in their lives. I want to make sure every American has that opportunity.
Every American must have the opportunity to get on Tinder. That's a platform I can get behind. I'm also for him because...
Your thoughts on the new Green Deal?
Question is on the Green New Deal. And by extension, if you don't mind, I'll take the spirit of the question.
If you don't mind, the question's about the Green New Deal. If you don't mind, I'll take the spirit of the question. It's an easy question. Are you for the Green New Deal or not? It tells me that if you have to take the spirit of the question, that tells me you don't want to answer the question. But I don't know. I can't skateboard. Robert Francis O'Rourke can skateboard. Maybe if I'd learned to skateboard, I could have been president someday.
We face catastrophe and crisis on this planet, even if we were to stop emitting carbon today, right?
Well, if we're facing catastrophe, even if we stop all use of carbon today, then it's over. I mean, if we face, that's what he said. We face catastrophe, like we face the end of civilization, even if we stop all carbon use today. I was so glad yesterday when we had a blizzard, and I don't mean a Dairy Queen blizzard. When we were having a blizzard, oh man, was I glad that natural gas was just flowing through the pipes.
Now, at this moment, we know that the storms that we saw in Texas, Harvey, which dumped the landfall record amount of rain on the United States of America, as long as we've been keeping records, that claimed the lives of too many of our fellow Americans, flooded people literally out of their homes and businesses. Storms like Harvey are only going to become more frequent and more severe and more devastating, and ultimately they'll...
Seems we've heard that before. Seems like we heard that back in 2004 when we had 4 hurricanes hit Florida, and then 2005 we had 3 hurricanes, Katrina, Ike, and I forget what the other one was. And then it went like nothing. Nothing. But now we have Harvey, and Harvey was a horrible storm. And now suddenly because of one storm, that creates a pattern. Really?
Compromise the ability to live in a city like Houston, Texas.
I don't see anybody moving out of Houston. Last I checked, it's like the 4th largest city in the United States. I don't see anybody leaving because of Harvey. I don't see anybody leaving Miami-Dade County. I don't see anybody leaving New York. Well, I do see people leaving New York City, but that's not because of storms, it's because of taxes. I don't see anybody leaving Los Angeles yet. It's going to fall off in the ocean somewhere, but, well, that's because of an earthquake, and of course earthquakes are because of climate change. I mean, everything's because of climate change. Yep. Just the other day I was constipated. Climate change.
The droughts that we experienced in the panhandle of Texas, 5 years straight.
Oh my gosh, 5 years straight. There was a drought in the Texas panhandle. Has he ever, seriously, I doubt it, but has he ever heard of the Dust Bowl? You talk about the Texas panhandle. How about almost the entire central part of the United States? How about the entire Great Plains? No, that was back in the dark ages.
And then we got a little bit of rain, and then we went back into droughts again. Those same scientists say those droughts will become more profound, more severe at a town hall like this. I remember a young woman came in with her 2 children. She was skipping her son's basketball practice to be there. She was going to talk to a Democrat, even though she was a lifelong Republican, because she told me that what her grandparents planted on their farm, what her parents planted on their farm, that she is now trying to plant does not grow.
Maybe they need to figure out to grow something else. Maybe they've been like really bad farmers. Oh, Beto. I'm sorry, Robert Francis O'Rourke. If I ever slip and call him Beto again, well, the White House will correct you. White House spokesman today.
Beto O'Rourke is now in the game for the Democratic primary. What's the president think about that?
Well, first of all, you pronounced it wrong. It's Robert Francis. That's number one.
Beto. No, it's Robert Francis O'Rourke. I think, I may be wrong about this. I probably should check this before I say it, but I'll say it anyway. I think he claims some sort of Hispanic heritage. I don't know what it is. And that's where the Beto comes from. Beto. No, never mind. I better just shut up. I better just shut up. Pelosi, speaking of the Green New Deal, she decided to weigh in today, too.
But I'm more excited about our Select Committee on Climate, chaired by Kathy Castor of Florida, which will be having its hearings evidence-based.
Evidence-based, yes. Yeah. It's an evidence-based hearing. Because that's the only thing that Congress knows how to do. Everything Congress does is evidence-based.
Recommendations, some of which will be consistent with some of what's in the Green Deal, new Green Deal.
I love that, and that some of that will be consistent with what's in the Green Deal, the new Green Deal. Is that what it is? She doesn't have a clue what it is. And some of what they're going to talk about dissing AOC. She's basically saying, yeah, first of all, not even going to put you on this committee. It's going to be evidence-based, and we will, we might look at some of the things you're talking about, but you know what? Probably not.
And some of it might be even beyond that. But I'm not standing by any characterization that the Republicans have of anything.
I'm not standing by the characterization of Republicans have about anything. Anything the Republicans do or say or characterize, well, I'm just the opposite. I thought that Democrats wanted to reach across the aisle. I mean, I thought we were like supposed to be singing Kumbaya. I thought it was like, we were all going to, cross hands like in some civil rights march. We were going to lock arms together and, walk around Washington, D.C. singing Kumbaya. And sounds like Nancy's not for that at all. Unfamiliar
as they may be with sending items to committee, because that's not what they ever did, this is what we will be doing, is sending it to committee. I do want to salute the Green Deal in this respect.
Now, I do want to salute the Green Deal in one way only.
Not the particulars, because we have to take it one at a time.
I don't want to salute the particulars of the Green New Deal. So I want to salute it in one way, but I don't want to salute it in another way. So let me see if I can tap dance around the is it Green Deal? What's that thing called again? That little twerp that's driving me nuts. What's her name? Yeah. What's her little deal called? Oh, yeah.
But in the respect of, again, raising the profile of an issue, which is a challenge generationally to preserve this planet. It's a health issue, a public health issue in terms of clean air, clean water. It's a jobs issue in terms of the United States being preeminent in green technologies throughout the world. It's a national security issue. Just read what our national security experts have to say. Generals, admirals, again, national security experts have to say about the challenge to global security that the climate crisis is presenting. And it's a moral issue. We all have a responsibility to pass this planet on to future generations in a responsible way. I myself, as a Catholic, believe, as do many of our evangelical friends and the rest who share our belief that this is God's creation and that we have a moral responsibility to be good stewards of it.
I think there's a huge difference between being a good steward of the planet. And look, I find it fascinating that we're invoking religion. I thought we were supposed to have separation of church and state. There's a huge difference between being a good steward of something and trying to somehow avert Mother Nature from what Mother Nature naturally does. But hey, what do I know? You're listening to Michael Brown on KOA News Radio, 850 AM, 94.1 FM, and always on the Michael Brown Show page at KOANewsRadio.com.
Tomorrow on Colorado's Morning News.
Got damage from the storm, we'll get some expert advice.
And here comes the warm-up. Think 50s for the weekend.
Good weather to welcome Joe Flacco to Denver.
And we'll have more with our Broncos Insiders on KOA News Radio.
Plumline Services is discounting high-efficiency furnace and AC packages. You save more than $2,000 on your Carrier system, which includes utility company rebates. And if you do it before March 31st, you get an extra $300 from Excel Energy. Not to mention a full parts and labor warranty for 10 years. Call now while supplies last for this special promotion. 303-562-0439. 562-0439. PlumlineServices.com.
Many teenagers are abusing and dying from prescription painkillers like Percocet and OxyContin. OxyContin is an opiate and gateway drug to heroin. Last year, 2 out of 5 teens admitted to experimenting with prescription medications. Be sure to talk to your kids about peer pressure. Let them know that misusing drugs and alcohol even just one time may have fatal consequences. For more information, visit drugfree.org. This paid public service announcement is sponsored for spring break by the concerned contractors, crew, and professional staff with Total Concrete Services Incorporated, who know our children are our future, and that's a future well worth protecting.
You know that one dream where you're on a beach with your wife and she's paragliding with your kindergarten teacher? Woohoo! And your boss is there too, only he's a centaur and he wants to play some beach volleyball.
Let's do this.
But then you realize you can't dream because you're not sleeping, because you suffer from sleep apnea. The good news is there is hope. Inspire is a sleep apnea solution that doesn't require a mask or a hose. To learn how you can treat sleep apnea without a mask and review important safety information, visit inspiresleep.com.
Pop quiz. If you sell a home for $500,000, how much would a traditional real estate agent charge in commission? If you guessed $25,000 to $30,000, you're right. But if you think that's the only way, you're wrong. This is why thousands of homeowners are making the switch to Rex. With Rex, you get a dedicated agent and a full-service experience at a fraction of the cost. Rex uses game-changing technology to cut out the middleman and save homeowners tens of thousands of dollars in fees. See if you qualify by calling 833-REX-HOME. That's 833-REX-HOME. Remember, this is your home. Why give an insane amount of equity away to an agent? Rex offers the lowest fee in the industry without skimping on service. You'll work with a licensed local expert with you every step of the way. Get the most out of your home. See if you qualify by calling 833-REX-HOME. 833-REX-HOME. That's 833-REX-HOME. DRE license 019761010. Minimum fee applies.
Retirement. It could be the best years of your life. You'll finally get to do what you want to do. Travel, golf, spend time with the grandkids, or just relax at home. But you have to plan for it. Start by tuning in to Matt Clace every Saturday morning at 6 for Financial Awakening. Don't wing it, plan for it. Tune in Saturday mornings at 6 for Financial Awakening with Matt Clace of the Paradigm Group. Investment advisory services offered only by duly registered individuals through AE Wealth Management, LLC.
Right now, save big and transform your home with Champion's Home Makeover Sale. Save 40% on Champion windows. Every Champion custom-made window is backed by their exclusive limited lifetime warranty. If it breaks, they fix it for as long as you own your home. And they're factory direct, so there's no middleman and no markup. Hi, this is Dave Logan, and Champion is the only window company that I personally endorse. And right now, you can save 40% on windows and 35% on sunrooms and siding when you participate in the Champion ES program. Plus, 12 months, no interest, no payments. But hurry, time is running out. Schedule your free in-home estimate today online at getchampion.com. 40% off new windows, 35% off new siding and new sunrooms. It's the Transform Your Home sale. Book your appointment online at getchampion.com. That's getchampion.com.
The Champion limited lifetime warranty applies to Comfort 365 windows as long as the original purchaser owns the home. Subject to qualifying credit approval, minimum purchase required. All discounts apply to our regular prices. Cannot be combined with other advertisers' offers. See store or website for details.
KBCO HD3 Boulder.
This is an iHeart radio station.
KOA News Radio, 850 AM and 94.1 FM. The 50,000-watt blowtorch of the Rocky Mountain West.
KOA News Radio time is 9 o'clock. I'm Roger Hudson. Our top story, Colorado's Attorney General issues an opinion on a gun bill before it goes before state lawmakers for a vote. We have details for you, but first, traffic and weather together. Here's Darren Copeland.
Things finally getting back to normal. We cleared both those accidents on eastbound C470 at Santa Fe and at Yosemite. Still maybe a little bit of a right lane blockage on the ramp from northbound Santa Fe to eastbound C470, so just be aware of that. I-70 is looking good between Lakewood and Aurora, and I-25 is wide open across the city. Boulder Turnpike is looking good, as is I-76. I'm Darren Copeland with KOA News Radio, Colorado's news, traffic, and weather station.
Well, as our big storm pulls away from Colorado, we'll continue to see winds dying down tonight. It'll be mostly cloudy early and then gradual clearing as we get to Friday morning. Overnight low should be about 14. Tomorrow's high should be in the low 40s, the way things look right now. And as we look ahead for the weekend, mostly sunny for both Saturday and Sunday, with highs in the mid to upper 40s. From CBS 4, I'm meteorologist Dave Aguilera on KOA News Radio 850 AM and 94.1 FM.
Partly cloudy skies and 26 degrees at Denver's International Airport. In a vote of 59 to 41, the Senate passed a resolution to terminate President Trump's emergency declaration at the U.S.-Mexican border. 12 Republicans voted in favor of the resolution to disapprove the declaration. Of course, Michael Bennet voted against, but Cory Gardner was kind of up in the air. Senator Cory Gardner at the end sided with President Trump, voting against the resolution of disapproval for the national emergency declaration. In a statement from Gardner following the vote, a junior senator said there is a crisis at the border, and the president did what Nancy Pelosi and Chuck Schumer refused to do. Attorney General Phil Weiser is supporting a controversial red flag bill going through the state legislature.
It's called an extreme risk protection order, and it would allow law enforcement or private individuals to take a weapon away from someone that they deem to be a danger to themselves or others. More than a dozen sheriffs say they will not enforce the bill. Weiser says he's confident that when the time comes, all law enforcement officers will follow the rule of law. Karen Trinidad, KOA News Radio.
And happening right now, police in New Zealand are dealing with an active shooter situation after shots were fired at a mosque in Christchurch. Police are calling it a serious and evolving situation and said that there is still a high threat. They're telling people to stay indoors until further notice.
New Zealand Police's Twitter account confirming police in Christchurch are responding to reports of a shooting, adding that armed police have been deployed. Police also say schools in the city are on lockdown and are warning people in central Christchurch to stay off the streets. The Associated Press reporting the incident occurred at or near a mosque. Mark Remillard, ABC News.
The very latest we're getting on that shooting is there are reports of multiple victims in the shooting. Israel is striking Gaza after rockets were fired at Tel Aviv. Israel's military is describing the strikes as targeting terrorist sites. It said earlier that one of the rockets was intercepted by the Iron Dome missile defense system. No injuries or deaths reported. Rocket alert sirens went off in the city just before midnight. There is a ground turkey recall, saying ABC's Chuck Stevenson.
Butterball is voluntarily recalling more than 78,000 pounds of raw ground turkey products distributed across the U.S. as Wisconsin health officials investigate 4 salmonella cases in the state. They say the 4 patients have the same strain of salmonella and are linked to the Butterball ground turkey products being recalled. Though having a sell or freeze-by date of last July, some of the ground turkey may be in freezers, says the Federal Ag Department.
Nobody wants it, but most people do recover without treatment from the illness, which usually lasts 4 to 7 days. Our next update at 9:30. I'm Roger Hudson on KOA News Radio 850 AM and 94.1 FM.
Broncos fans, it's March and the team stores are cleaning out hundreds of styles of knits, caps, apparel, and jerseys now 50 to 80% off their original retail prices, including hundreds of jerseys as low as $20. It's the team store's spring cleaning sale, going on now through the end of March at all the team store locations, Broncos Stadium at Mile High, UC Health Training Center, and the Broncos Locker in Centennial and North Glen. Don't miss out on our huge selection of great styles 50 to 80% off, only at the Broncos team stores and Broncos Locker.
Have you heard about
about the new MVP in town? Rheem Pro Partners MVP. They're the heating and cooling contractors who have reached the top of the profession, the MVPs of HVAC. To be honest, they're not really new. The Rheem team of home comfort professionals has been the leader in Colorado since 1992. Right now, take advantage of Rheem and Excel Energy rebates over $2,100 on high-efficiency heating and cooling system. Why settle for the second team? Choose the MVPs of HVAC and go to RheemProPartners.com and click on the MVP near you.
Tonight, Michael Brown joins me here.
He's the former FEMA director.
Talk show host Michael Brown.
Brownie. Now.
Brownie, you're doing a heck of a job.
It's a heck of a show with Michael Brown.
You're on the radio.
On KOA News Radio.
You heard in the earlier newscast that the Denver Post has come out and said that they regret their endorsement of Cory Gardner, the junior senator from the state of Colorado. And they regret their endorsement because he voted against the resolution in the U.S. Senate today that would reject the president's emergency declaration. Now, the president has said that he will now veto that, and his emergency declaration, barring a two-thirds override in both houses, which I don't think they have the numbers to do, his emergency declaration may yet survive. I don't like emergency declarations. I don't like executive orders. But here's what I don't like even more, and that's hypocrisy.
And he said he's doing so because...
I should point out this is Mitt Romney.
And he said he's doing so because he needs to uphold the Constitution, and he said the president urged him to change his mind.
I informed the president last week that I would be voting in favor of the resolution of disapproval.
What did he say?
Well, he'd rather have me vote in a different direction, but I let him know that this, for me, is a matter of defending the Constitution.
The president's been lobbying pretty hard on this. Are you worried about backlash from the president for your support for this resolution?
I think the president recognizes that that senators will vote their conscience, will vote based upon their assessment of what's at stake and the principles involved, and different senators see it different ways. That's the nature of a pluralistic Senate. But the president can certainly express his views, as he has, and individual senators will express theirs.
Here's what drives me nuts.
Defending the Constitution.
Mitt Romney says he's voting against it because he's defending the Constitution. I really don't know why Cory Gardner Mitt Romney voted in favor of it because he supports the Constitution. I'm not really sure why Cory said he's voting against it. But here's what everybody's ignoring. The president is declaring the emergency under a statute that was passed by the Congress authorizing the president to do what he is doing. Now, if you want to argue, and I think an argument can be made, that Congress should not do that, and the reason Congress should not do that is the same reason that I argue that Congress should not end legislation with language that says this. In order to effect the intent of Congress, the Secretary of the Department of Agriculture, or pick whatever your favorite department is authorized to promulgate rules and regulations to carry out the intent of Congress. Well, that's what they did when they authorized the president. When the Congress authorizes the executive branch to do things, they've got the authority to do that, but then don't bitch at me about an overreaching and overpowerful executive branch. When you bitch and moan about there's too many regulations, too many government policies, the people you should complain to are the people like Mitt Romney who say,
defending the Constitution.
Well, if you really want to defend the Constitution, Stop abdicating your authority to the bureaucracy. Stop ceding your authority to the executive branch. If you read the Constitution, which I if you were to read the Constitution, it's quite clear that Article 1, which establishes the legislative branch, legislate. They're the ones that are supposed to make the laws. The executive branch is supposed to administer the laws. So I've always believed that this whole idea that Congress is, well, you know, we just don't have the expertise, or we just don't have the time, because, you know, we have to fly in on Monday afternoon, and then we have to leave on Thursday, and then we have to take recesses, and then, you know, we have to take, let's see, what's coming up next? Maybe Memorial Day. So Memorial Day is a one-day holiday for most of us. We get a 3-day weekend. They'll have 2 weeks. They'll take a 2-week recess because they work so hard. Quit abdicating your authority. If you pass a piece of legislation, rather than giving it to the bureaucracy to come up with the rules and regulations, why don't you do that? Because then you are going to be held accountable for the legislation that you pass, and that's what you don't want. Because if I can point to a really stupid regulation, now my beef is with, well, some bureaucrat in some department somewhere, in some program office, came up with that regulation. Who do I go to? If I go to my congressman, if I go to my senator, they'll say, well, you know, we passed the legislation, but we don't have the time or the expertise to come up with the regulation, so we give that over to the executive branch to do. Well, then quit bitching about the executive branch having too much power. Quit bitching about the president declaring national emergencies when you gave him the authority to do so. People drive me nuts. They apparently, hang on, I gotta move this. CNN, speaking, I told you I was fascinated by the 2020 election. CNN and Kirsten Powers is really annoyed with all of the hype over Robert Francis O'Rourke. I think they're jealous. I think they're upset because, well, we had a person of color, a female person of color, Kamala Harris. Why, we were for her. And if we weren't for her, we were for another person of color, Cory Booker. We were for him. And now we got a dumb white guy running. Yeah.
Kirsten, looking at the big race, the national race, and O'Rourke made this clear. He said that the Democrats have to kind of stick together, that their focus is on beating Donald Trump, and they shouldn't be infighting, and so on. Beyond all the talk of how charming he is, etc., but Democrats and Republicans acknowledge that this 2020 race is looking tighter than anybody acknowledges, and likely to come down again to those key swing states, Pennsylvania, Wisconsin, etc. Should that be the focus for Democratic candidates, is who's going to win over those districts? Not Brooklyn, right? But who's going to win over the districts that turned the race in 2016 and will likely turn it in 2020?
Well, I think you have to be focused on that, but you also have to be focused on turning out base voters, people who didn't show up, who showed up for Obama, but then, didn't show up for Hillary. And so I think that, ideally you would have somebody who could appeal to both of those groups of people. And, it's not clear to me exactly what Beto's plan is. It seems like he's more in what you're talking about there, but I think that that's short-sighted. Can I just say one thing, though, about what's bothering me about this isn't so much about what he's doing, it's what the media is doing. So the fact that he gets this Vanity Fair cover, and I feel like, he is getting kind of this special treatment that's not proportionate. Oh,
me think you a little jealous. You're defending the sisterhood. Yes. Oh, they're upset because he skateboards. Mm-hmm. And he gesticulates a lot. He flails his arms around a lot. Kind of like if you watch me, that's what I do too.
To what he's done, he's had a big accomplishment, but so did Stacey Abrams. Yep. And as you know, was just pointed out, there are a lot of other candidates who've accomplished a lot. Like, it's not clear to me why he's on the cover of Vanity Fair and Kamala Harris isn't.
Why, Vanity Fair, you sexist little twerps. By the way, if you see the picture, if you Google or DuckDuckGo or Bing or Yahoo, the cover of Vanity Fair, you might say that Robert Francis O'Rourke has a little smirk on his face.
And I think that that's something that the Democrats need to be.
I'm so interested in I'm fascinated by that too, and I want to know why do you think it is?
Well, because I think that there's still an issue in this country where people just get very, very excited about white men. I mean, I don't know what the other explanation is, or I shouldn't even say white men, because I think we saw the same thing with Barack Obama. And so the question is, I actually, Kamala Harris is an incredibly charismatic, obviously, I think, brilliant woman, and it's not clear to me why Beto O'Rourke is, like I said, is getting this kind of royal treatment that she's not getting, or frankly, Stacey Abrams, who is incredible, right?
Stacey Abrams. I'm sorry, it has nothing to do with the race of Stacey Abrams. Have you listened to her? She's dumber than a box of rocks. And they're all upset that she's not getting attention. Run her. Put her on the ballot. Hell's bells, let her run in the primary too. In fact, I say the more the merrier. I can't wait for the Democrat debates to start. How are they going to decide who gets the adult table and who gets the kids table? Oh, I can't wait.
I really, like, the first time I saw her, thought, wow, this woman should run for president. So
Kirsten Powers, you seriously thought that Stacey Abrams, again, another loser, which I find fascinating. They pick these losers to run. So Robert Francis O'Rourke loses. Hey, I'll run for president then. Stacey Abrams runs for, I think she's running for a House seat in Georgia. She loses a congressional district. So let's put her on the national stage. Let's put this woman who's dumber than a box of rocks. And look, I don't think Beto O'Rourke is very smart. I'm sorry, Robert Francis O'Rourke. That's like saying calling the blizzard yesterday what I refused to call it. I'm going to refuse to call him, you know what? It's Robert Francis O'Rourke.
I just think that the media can help create a lot of this, so I think people have to be conscious of that.
And she may jump in this race too, which she made very clear earlier this week.
Oh, I say jump in it. Jump in it, jump in it, jump in it. Speaking of Robert Francis O'Rourke, there is a Robert Francis Kennedy. I just stumbled across a 1968 political ad.
Robert Kennedy and some people who aren't registered this year.
What do you think?
In 10 years, these Americans will inherit the problems we don't solve today.
So in 1968, if we didn't do anything, by 1978, we were all going to die.
It's suggested that in the next several decades, the people are going to start having to wear gas masks in New York City because of the air is becoming so polluted. 750 pounds of refuse you breathe every year.
Refuse? Like garbage? Trash? You're breathing in, like, plastic cups or something?
Same thing is true to a lesser degree in cities all across the United States. That will spread to the rural areas as well unless we stop it. The things that we can do about automobiles, there are laws that we can pass about dumping and throwing refuse in lakes and streams and into the air. Otherwise, as Secretary Gardner said, we're all going to have to live underground.
It's the first time I've heard that we're all going to have to live underground. I think I'll live underground. I'm thinking about converting the undisclosed location into just a big-ass bunker. Razor wire fence all around it. Turrets on every corner. 50 cal on every turret. Landmines. get me a bazooka and a flamethrower and a bunker. No, I'm not. I'm not a whack job. Not at all.
Industry must do something, and then individual citizens. And then the demand, the interest that all of you might take in it. And I think that's what's going to make the difference in this country.
Nebraska can make the difference.
Nebraska. All you people in Nebraska need to be living underground. Well, at least you should have been by 1978. And if you didn't, well, then maybe by 1988. And then by 1998, and then 2008, and then last year. And yet, amazingly, here we are. How did we ever survive? The senator from Connecticut, Richard Blumenthal, who famously once said that he served in Vietnam, but it turns out, well, he never actually went to Vietnam. But nobody cares. I find it fascinating that somebody can lie about having served in Vietnam and still get elected to the United States Senate. He doesn't know his Constitution either.
Of course, the president has been expressing sympathy for Paul Manafort. The White House tells us that he has not taken a pardon off the table. What would be your reaction? What should Congress's reaction be if the president now pardons Paul Manafort?
Pardoning Paul Manafort would be an obstruction of justice.
Wait a minute. Paul Manafort has been convicted on federal charges. The Constitution gives the president the power to pardon people, commute their sentences, pardon them for any federal crimes that they may have committed, may have been convicted of committed, or they may have been accused of committing. Gerald Ford pardoned Richard Nixon, and he hadn't been convicted of anything, let alone impeached. How can it be obstruction of justice when you exercise the authority that you have? It's pretty clear. But then again, I don't expect a U.S. senator to understand what's in the United States Constitution, and I don't know why I keep expecting that. But I just keep thinking that somewhere, somehow, somebody's going to recognize that. Oh yeah, the Constitution says this. I say students because, well, we had the Civil Rights Act. We had all the marches back in the 60s. We had the free speech movement in Berkeley. We had all of those things. And now?
Ain't no power like the power of the people, because the power of the people don't stop. What? Ain't no power like the power of the people, because the power of the people don't stop. What? Ain't no power like the power of the people, because the power of the people don't stop. What?
Now that chants about power to the people. It's at Sarah Lawrence College, where the annual tuition is $55,900. They were demanding certain things. So what do you think they would be demanding? Here's the list. Free winter housing with a communal kitchen containing dry goods from the food pantry. Free laundry detergent and fabric softener for all students. We are raising a generation of wusses. Special housing, I love this one. Special housing for students of color. I think special housing means segregated housing. So we have fought a civil war in this nation. Hundreds of thousands of Americans died. Families fought families. And then we went through the 50s and 60s, and we had these huge political battles to make certain that black people could vote, that they could sit at the same lunch counter, that they wouldn't be discriminated against in housing. And now, students are chanting that they want special housing for students of color. Don't ever try to convince me that things don't go in a cycle. Don't ever try to convince me that Ecclesiastes is wrong, that there's nothing new under the sun. Because we've gone full circle. Yep. All of those people that fought in the Civil War, all those people at Berkeley that fought for free speech and, no discrimination and free love. Now they're chanting for special housing for students of color. They want on-campus jobs, prioritizing the hiring of international students. They want to prevent students of color from being educated about history by racist white professors. So white professors can't teach black students. They want to have unlimited access to therapy sessions. Well, there's something I can get behind. I think these goobers ought to have unlimited access to therapy sessions. I think their parents ought to pay for it, but Lord knows they need therapy. And they want permanent funding for a minority student union that is not paid for by the student body. Oh, a separate student union for students of color. I give up. I just give up. You're listening to Michael Brown on KOA News Radio, 850 AM, 94.1 FM, and always on the Michael Brown Show page at KOANewsRadio.com.
News is happening every second, every minute. Today, tonight, tomorrow. The most up-to-date information. Real news. Every day.
Life.
Real life.
On KOA News Radio.
I've bought more guns at one place than any other place in my life, and that's at Gunsport in Boulder. You'll find Gunsport at 14th and Arapahoe in Boulder. Easy drive. Go up and visit the guys and tell them Michael Brown sent you. Gunsport at 14th and Arapahoe or online, gunsport.us.
Many teenagers are abusing and dying from prescription painkillers, heroin, and synthetic opioids. The last 5 years has seen a 45% increase in heroin overdoses. Parents, talk with your kids about peer pressure. Let them know misusing these drugs, even one time, may have fatal consequences. For more information, go to the website drugfree.org. This paid public announcement is sponsored for spring break by the concerned and professional staff with Rocky Mountain Interior Construction.
God's law is like a perfect piece of music that only the composer's son could perform perfectly. Hear Dr. Michael Ziegler's message this week on The Lutheran Hour.
The Lutheran Hour can be heard right here on KOA News Radio every Sunday at 6 a.m.
Hey, it's Susie Wargin with some big news from my friends at Renters Warehouse. They've acquired one of America's leading online real estate investment marketplaces and have now become the nation's leading real estate investment services company. What does this mean for you? It means Renters Warehouse is now your one-stop shop to research, buy, lease, manage, and sell single-family rental properties. Seriously, it's like you have stocks and bonds, except they're rental homes. Whether you're looking for 20 properties or just one, Renters Warehouse gives you the tools you need. Find great properties and great tenants, collect the rent, manage the maintenance, view stock-like analytics, and track your portfolio. With Renters Warehouse, you can easily do it all from the comfort of your own home. Heck, you can even do it from your phone. And your properties don't have to be local. They can be anywhere in the country. When it comes to unlocking the investment power of rental homes, Renters Warehouse is leveling the playing field. They have the network, knowledge, and technology to make you a rent estate mogul virtually overnight. It all starts by visiting renterswarehouse.com today. Renters Warehouse. List, rent, manage, all under one roof.
Proposition 112.
Yeah, let's take a look at that number. No, 58% to a yes, 42%. This was a big one. And the voters said absolutely not.
It has been soundly defeated tonight.
A bigger margin than I think we expected.
Tonight, it failed.
Sound familiar? Last fall, Coloradans like you and I went to the ballot box and voted overwhelmingly against Proposition 112 by hundreds of thousands of votes. We voted to protect funding for schools, protect jobs, and protect our way of life. But a handful of politicians didn't like that result and think they know better. So now they're trying to ignore our votes, our communities, and our voice and pass a law in the middle of the night to shut down energy production across Colorado. But we won't be fooled. Call your legislator and tell them to stop SB 181. 303-866-2904. Stop SB 181. Paid for by the Colorado Petroleum Council, a division of API.
Hey, it's Rick Lewis. If you or your bed partner have sleep apnea, snoring is likely the worst part of your nightly routine. Once the snoring starts, one of you probably moves to a different room to try and get some sleep alone. CPAP is the first line of therapy for sleep apnea, but it just doesn't work for everyone. Now there's a silent, mass-free sleep solution keeping couples together in the same room. It's called Inspire. Inspire is a sleep solution that works inside your body with your natural breathing breathing process. It delivers mild stimulation throughout the night to keep your airway open, giving you and your partner a quiet and restful night's sleep together. Inspire is the only FDA-approved sleep solution of its kind that's helping thousands of people like you finally experience their best sleep. A sleep solution for you is just a click away. Visit inspiresleep.com to learn more, review important safety information, and to find a doctor in Denver who can help you determine if Inspire is right for you. That's inspiresleep.com.
KOA News Radio time is 9:30. Police in New Zealand are dealing with an active shooter situation where shots were fired at a mosque at Christchurch. Local media reports shots have been fired in two separate mosques.
I could hear screaming and crying, and I saw some people were, drop dead.
So far, there are unconfirmed reports that there could be as many as 50 victims in the shootings, but police have not confirmed those reports yet. What they are calling it a serious, evolving situation and said that there are still high threats involved. As the bomb cyclone has now moved out of the state, leaving behind a mess and stranded travelers, CDOT's Kyle Lester says that they are getting roads reopened and people on their way.
Out in Deer Trail on I-70, out east on Deer Trail, there were 40 people that were held up into a church that snow drifted in. We have loaders that responded and are clearing away and kind of opening that up to get people moving.
The snowstorm Wednesday did break some records at DIA. We received 7.1 inches of snow, the most snow in one day during the last 3 years. But
so far we've had almost 12 inches for the month. We're above normal, but believe it or not, still below normal for the season by a half foot.
That's CBS 4 meteorologist Chris Spears. And finally, Boeing will continue building 737 MAX jets despite a worldwide grounding of the popular planes. A company announcing the decision to continue production today. Industry experts say it's no big surprise since the plane is the company's best-selling jet and there's a huge backlog of orders. Meanwhile, Boeing CEO saying he supports the grounding of those jets out of an abundance of caution. Our next update at 10 o'clock. I'm Roger Hudson, KOA News Radio 850 AM and 94.1 FM.
Highways are how we like them, and we just cleared that final accident eastbound C470 at Yosemite. It had been lingering a little bit, but everything's back to normal, so good news there. C470 is back to normal speeds across that stretch. I-25 looks great between Centennial and Thornton. No problems to report on I-70. Boulder Turnpike is looking good, and I-76 has no problems to report. Off freeway, we are accident-free as well. CBS 4 weather. Tonight, decreasing wind, mostly cloudy, early then clearing, low of 14. Tomorrow, mostly sunny, high of 40, currently 28 degrees. I'm Darren Copeland with KOA News Radio, Colorado's news, traffic, and weather station.
Right now, save big and transform your home with Champion's Home Makeover Sale. Save 40% on Champion windows. Every Champion custom-made window is backed by their exclusive limited lifetime warranty. If it breaks, they fix it for as long as you own your home. And they're factory direct, so there's no middleman and no markup. Hi, this is Dave Logan, and Champion is the only window company that I personally endorse. And right now, you can save 40% on windows and 35% on sunrooms and siding when you participate in the Champion ES program. Plus, 12 months, no interest, no payments. But hurry, time is running out. Schedule your free in-home estimate today online at getchampion.com. 40% off new windows, 35% off new siding and new sunrooms. It's the Transform Your Home sale. Book your appointment online at getchampion.com. That's getchampion.com.
The Champion limited lifetime warranty applies to Comfort 365 windows as long as the original purchaser owns the home. Subject to qualifying credit approval, minimum purchase required. All discounts apply to our regular prices. Cannot be combined with other advertisers' offers. See store or website for details.
Big rewards are waiting for you at Isle Casino Hotel Blackhawk. Join the fan club to get access to exclusive offers. Plus, new members who play 30 minutes on the day they sign up will receive a free buffet to our acclaimed Farmer's Pick Buffet. Sign up today for free at Isle Casino Hotel Blackhawk.
Must be 21. Any and all terms, conditions, rewards, and/or benefits published or received are subject to change or revocation without notice. Eligibility rules and exceptions apply. Refer to official promotional rules. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-522-4700.
Jerry Lee Lewis's fifth wife, dead. Sid Vicious and Kurt Cobain, also dead. Amy Winehouse, Johnny Cash, and more. Disgraceland is a rock and roll true crime podcast with stories about musicians getting away with murder and behaving very badly and is available now. Hosted by me, Jake Brennan. You can listen to Disgraceland on the iHeartRadio app or wherever you get your podcasts.
Listen to all episodes of Disgraceland on the free iHeartRadio app. Can't wait on hold?
Text Michael at 56690. Now, back to Michael Brown on KOA News Radio.
When your whole world is shaking.
I was just looking at the Drudge Report, and apparently Nancy Pelosi is proposing that they lower the national voting age to 16, saying that we need to capture these kids while they're in high school. No, we don't. I want to raise the voting age. I want to raise the voting age to 21 or 25, maybe 30. And I know that you can serve in the military at age 18. So if we're going to raise the voting age, then we should raise the age that you can serve in the military correspondingly to the same age. Raise it to 22, 25. I don't want kids in high school. Do me a favor. Well, you can't get in. Maybe you can get somebody that's got kids in high school. Ask to go to a high school. Walk around. Listen to the conversations. And tell me you want them voting in national elections. You want them voting for, my grandson is 15. I love him to death. I think he's as smart as can be. Brilliant kid. I don't want him voting. Don't want him voting at all. He doesn't have the capacity to be discerning enough to figure out who to vote for. Apparently there are emails, other documents that indicate that Michelle Obama's former, I think, chief of staff tried to intervene in the Jussie Smollett case. The doofus from Chicago that hired the two black guys to wrote him a check for $3,500 to go buy supplies. Okay, you boys go buy some rope, buy some bleach or something, and buy a couple of red hats, and then I'm going to go to Subway. It'll be 2 o'clock in the morning. My flight might be late, so it might be a little later, but I'll send you a text message. I'll let you know when I've gotten my foot long at the Subway after Jared and I have a little fun together. And then I want you to beat me up. And then I'm going to claim that you are a bunch of Trump supporters. We'll never get caught. No. That's why you can take a check. Michelle Obama her staffer tried to intervene in the case.
New information in the Jussie Smollett case. We're learning more about what exactly led Cook County State's Attorney Kim Foxx to recuse herself in the case, and it involves contact with the former chief of staff for Michelle Obama. NBC5's Usher Qureshi has more.
According to public records of emails and text messages, Foxx reached out to Superintendent Johnson after she was contacted by Smollett supporter Tina Chen, former First Lady Michelle Obama's former chief of staff. A text from Chen to Foxx read, "I wanted to give you a call on behalf of Jussie Smollett and family who I know. They have concerns about the investigation." According to the Sun-Times, Chen connected a Smollett relative to Foxx, who expressed concerns about leaks. That relative asked Foxx to request the FBI take over the investigation. Foxx said she would ask. The relative texted, "OMG, this would be a huge victory." Foxx responded, "I make no guarantees, but I'm trying." The relative texted back, "I understand. I appreciate the effort." On February 1st, Foxx texted the relative again, writing, "Spoke to Superintendent Johnson. I convinced him to reach out to the FBI to ask that they take over the investigation. He's reaching out now and will get back to me shortly." In the end, the FBI did not take over. CPD says while the FBI was involved from the beginning, discussion about handing over the investigation was never a consideration.
NBC5's Usher Qureshi reporting, and Fox points out that these discussions happened while Smollett was still considered a victim and not yet charged. And it was these discussions and her contact with the Smollett family member that ultimately led her to recuse herself from the case on February 19th, one day before Smollett was named a suspect.
Trying to influence a prosecution? Trying to influence an investigation? I know. It's Chicago. It's the Obamas. There's nothing to see here. Kenneth Lee is a nominee to the Ninth Circuit Court of Appeals, the most overturned court in the appeals circuit. Kenneth Lee is a South Korean. In his confirmation hearing, he describes how his father assimilated into this country. It's a short 2-minute excerpt, but I think it's worth listening to. If every foreigner who wanted to come to this country the legal way and assimilate and had this kind of attitude,
I think of one experience about 35 years ago. I was wanted to go to Disneyland. I pestered my parents to take me to Disneyland, and they finally agreed to take me to Disneyland with my 3 sisters. But to save money, they decided to take some Korean food, kimbap, which is rice with Korean vegetables wrapped up in seaweed. So this was 35 years ago. That kind of food was quite exotic. So when we were there and we opened up our food for lunch, again, little kids started coming up, and some said it smelled. Others said it looked like feces. They used a slightly different word. And one of them I remember was, pointing to my parents, making kind of faux Asian-sounding names and pulling their eyes. And I remember, and when you're a kid, the smallest things seem like the world to you. And I remember the next day, maybe because I was young or because I felt helpless, I blamed my dad for this whole thing. And I said, I want to go back. I want to go back to Korea. I said, you never asked us if we wanted to come here, move to a new country. And, my dad was a stoic man, but he said, I know it's tough for you. It's tough on your sisters. It's tough on me and your mom. But one thing I always remember, and maybe I didn't take it as seriously when I was younger, but something that I always remembered and learned more as I got older. He said, I know it's tough here, but he said, you don't want to go back. He said, because things aren't fair there. He said, the families that control the conglomerates there, the chaebols, he said, they control the government, they control the economy, they control the laws. So you're not going to get a fair shot there. But he said, here in America, he said, things are different. He said, it doesn't matter that you're not white. It doesn't matter you weren't born here. It doesn't matter that our family doesn't have wealth or power. He said, everyone here is treated equally. And my dad wasn't a lawyer. He never read the Federalist Papers. But he had a gut understanding of what makes our country and our Constitution so great, so powerful, and so unique in the world. And I've always remembered that.
Confirm him. Confirm him right now. On another note, I don't remember which circuit it is, but President Trump has now appointed enough new judges. I want to say it was the Second Circuit, but don't hold me to that. But President Trump has now flipped one of the Circuit Court of Appeals. I don't like the whole idea of conservative judges and liberal judges and all of that, but I do like the idea of judges that are strict constructionists, textualists, originalists, strict constitutionalists. And he's done that. He's done that with one of the appeals, Circuit Court of Appeals courts. That's why. That is, again, why he's got to win in 2020. You may have heard that Tucker Carlson is getting some flack because apparently he went on the radio program with Bubba Love. What's the guy's name, Angie? Bubba Love Sponge or Sponge Bubba Love, or the guy down in Florida?
Something like that.
Something like that. Anyway, he's I don't think he's on the air anymore. I think he's actually embroiled in some lawsuits with his radio company. But he's kind of a shock jock. He's kind of a Howard Stern, but more of a comedian than Howard Stern is. And these episodes that Tucker Carlson was on were more than 10 years ago. He used the C word and he said some pretty sexist things, but he refuses to stand up to the mob, literally the mob, outside the Fox News channel.
So I watch Tucker Carlson every night, and I followed his career retrospectively and currently, and every night he goes on air and reveals what kind of a person he is. Someone whose core mission in the media is to elevate fringe white identity grievances.
Fringe white identity grievances. I don't watch Tucker. I do see a lot of clips from his show the next day. I don't recognize any white fringe grievances.
And use his massive microphone to mainstream full-blown white supremacy and move the Overton window, which represents the spectrum of acceptable dialogue in the media, towards fascism.
Oh. So he has shifted the Overton window and he is now pushing fascism. Yeah. That's what, when you see FNC, it's not the Fox News channel, it's the fascist news channel.
This is a fundamentally anti-democratic project.
Fox News is a anti-democratic project. Fox News is trying to destroy the republic.
And it is opposed to the meager civil rights that are afforded marginalized populations in this country.
The meager civil rights that are afforded marginalized groups in this country. This country, let me tell you something, sweetheart. This country bends over for whatever minority marginalized groups there are in this country, including you. You're standing on the street on 7th Avenue in front of the Fox News headquarters. You're exercising your right of free speech. Someone's giving you valuable airtime. You're being paid by Media Matters for America to do the protest. So not only are you exercising your right of free speech, this is probably the only job you've got. I'm just glad you got some job. You're making some money. I think all work has dignity, so I'll give you at least, you're a dumbass, but at least you're working.
And it puts marginalized communities under the threat of direct material harm. It justifies police abuse against people of color. It erases the legal status of transgender people. It seeks to roll back the civil rights of women to access reproductive health services.
Reproductive health services. He wants to roll all that back. Women should not be able to get, like they shouldn't be able to go see an OBGYN doctor. Nope. Oh, she's talking about abortion. I thought she said reproductive health services. Oh, I didn't get that. Tucker Carlson, in response, says that he not only refuses to give in to the mob, but turns out that the Media Matters for America chief has a pretty bad background himself.
Chris Hayes is an anchor over on MSNBC, the one with the glasses. Hayes' political views aren't very interesting, cringing hipster sensitivity burnished with low-grade academic buzzwords. Pretty banal stuff. But Hayes always seemed like a decent guy personally. He didn't seem like a hater. It was hard to imagine him promoting open racism or anti-Semitism. Or at least it was hard to imagine until the other night. That's when Hayes invited a man called Angelo Carusone onto his show. Carusone runs Media Matters. Almost every day he issues outraged press releases accusing other people of bigotry. And yet, because everything is irony, Carusone is himself an enthusiastic bigot. We know this for sure because he has written about it extensively. It turns out that for years, Carasone maintained a racist blog. One post entitled, quote, Tranny Paradise, addressed a crime story from Thailand. A Bangladeshi man had been robbed and assaulted by a group of male prostitutes dressed as women. Carasone objected to the idea that this was even a story and ridiculed South Asians as inherently ugly and poor. Quote, is the writer a tranny lover too? Or perhaps he's just trying to justify how these trannies tricked this Bangladeshi in the first place. Look, man, we don't need to know whether or not they were attractive. The effing guy was Bangladeshi. What the hell was he doing with $7,300 worth of stuff? The guy's Bangladeshi. End quote. In another post, Carasone described how a male coach at a Japanese high school had sexually abused female players. People in Japan were horrified by this, understandably. Carasone was not. His advice, quote, lighten up, Japs. Later that month, Carasone, by now in a frenzy of racism, heaped praise on a former Ku Klux Klan leader. In still another post from the same period, Carasone described a Jewish man as being handsome, quote, despite his Jewry. Carasone didn't like the man's political views, but attributed them to, quote, his possession of several bags of Jewish gold, end quote. Jewish gold. According to Angelo Carasone, Jewish gold is a problem. Media Matters probably ought to issue a press release about this. They've done a lot more for a lot less. And yet somehow, and this is the remarkable part, Chris Hayes managed to pretend that none of this ever happened. Hayes never mentioned the Jewish gold. He never said a word about the Japs or the trannies or the Klan or even those dirty Bangladeshis who deserve what they get no matter what the tranny lovers say.
Fox News is standing fully behind Tucker Carlson. I don't think the Media Matters for America guy should be fired. I don't think Tucker Carlson should be fired. I think that people ought to be able to say what they want to say. And if you're offended by it, well, you're the one that chooses to be offended. And if you want to dissent, you want to rebut, you want to mock, that's what makes America great, right there. You can say really stupid, dumbass things. And the response to that is people can point out that you said something really stupid and dumbass. I'm absolutely certain that I've said something really stupid and dumbass in my 10, 12 years on radio. I'm sure I have. You know what I missed, though? I don't know how I found this today, but Jay Leno was on one of the late night shows last night.
There is this annoying trend in advertising now, especially on cable, where they want you to get to know the non-celebrity spokesman for whatever the product is. There's one running on CNN right now. It says, Bob is 68 years old. Bob has hemorrhoids. Learn more about Bob's story on hemorrhoids.com. I don't want to know Bob's story. Okay? How empty is my life that I have time to go to this website? Hey, if I want to see hemorrhoids, I can stand in the bathroom with a hand mirror, okay? I don't need to go to some stupid website. Oh, and what do I do when I get to the website? Do you email him pictures of my hemorrhoids now? What, are we in some kind of a hemorrhoid club? I don't care. Oh, and listen to this. Medical marijuana experts now say you can cure hemorrhoids using marijuana. Let me tell you something, okay? No, if you think you can cure hemorrhoids with the marijuana, somebody's just blowing smoke up your ass, okay? That's all I have to say. No. So then, last week I go to the Apple store.
1 minute into this, and nothing political. No Trump bashing, no Democrat bashing, nothing. Just good old-fashioned humor.
To get another $29 6-inch white charge cord for my iPhone. And the guy says to me, what iPhone do you have? So I got 7S. 7S? Oh man, you got to upgrade. How about our 10th anniversary iPhone? I said, well, how much is that? It goes $1,000. It's $1,000 for the 10th anniversary iPhone. I didn't spend $1,000 on my 10th wedding anniversary, okay? Okay, that was pretty much Sizzler and a Hallmark card, as I remember. Then he says, oh, you need it because it has a new improved camera. How much more camera do you need on your iPhone? What are you using this for? Colonoscopies? What level of detail? Oh, look how much bigger Uncle Ken's nostril hairs are with this new camera. Oh, and it's you. It's literally a tablet. Have you seen how big it is? See people at the airport walk around with it. You look like Moses carrying the 10 Commandments with your stupid iPhone. Anyway, I just came in from L.A. This is another annoying place. Here's something to do in Los Angeles, okay? My wife and I go to the supermarket. We buy $128 worth of groceries. And the clerk says, do you want a bag for that? No, we're going to eat it here. Okay, that's fine. I'm going to put the ice cream in my pants. I'll put the hamburger in my shirt. Really, I only spent $128 to ask for a bag. I feel like I'm taking too much, really. I'm taking advantage. Oh, and then I do that credit card swipe thing, you know, with the plastic pen on the little chain. Why the chain? Who is stealing that? Okay? First of all, it's not even a pen. It's a plastic stick, okay? So I go to sign, and I'm trying to sign. Miss, excuse me, miss. This isn't working. She goes, oh, don't worry about it. Don't worry about it. Isn't that the essence of credit card fraud? Don't worry about it. That's just, you can sign with your finger. You ever sign with your finger? And then you look at your signature. Looks like it's written by a nymphomaniac sitting on a washing machine. Let me ask you, and what is this? What is this annoying trend now? We have stores inside of other stores. This supermarket we went to had a coffee bean inside the supermarket. And inside the coffee bean was a Starbucks. Okay, it didn't make any sense. Oh, listen, Amazon announced they're going to be opening stores nationwide with no sales clerks of any kind. First of all, that's not new, okay? Sears had that 20 years ago, okay?
That's comedy. Isn't it sad? I mean, it truly is sad that the late night comedians, all they have is Trump, and it's not even funny. You start doing comedy like that again, I think the late night comedian shows, the ratings would soar, absolutely soar. You're listening to Michael Brown on KOA News Radio, 850 AM, 94.1 FM, and always on the Michael Brown Show page at KOANewsRadio.com.
She listens for what you want.
I'm ready.
You listen for what you need.
Colorado's news, traffic, and weather station.
Available on over 2,000 devices.
Just say, Alexa, play KOA on iHeartRadio.
KOA News Radio. Who